help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. So, hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short climate justice campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate. We care about the climate.
In the night, I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road, he lost his soul to a woman so heartless. How could you be so heartless? Oh, how could you be so heartless? How could you be so cold as the winter wind when it breeze, yo? Just remember that you talking to me, though. You need to watch the way you talking to me, yo. I mean, after all the things that we've been through, I mean, after all the things we got into. Hey, yo, I know some things that you ain't told me. Hey, yo, I did some things, but that's the old me. And now you wanna get me back and you gon' show me. So you walk around like you don't know me. You got a new friend, well, I got homies. But in the end, it's still so lonely. In the night, I hear him talk, the coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road, he lost his soul to a woman so heartless.
Welcome back in. You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580, Hour 2. Of course, this is the show where we hit all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture with me, your host, Jill Munroe. So, look, it is Valentine's Day, but we have an interesting question for you, or situation. So there is a teacher in Arizona. Her name is Ncheki Diallo, right? And recently, it's Arizona, I believe. So she was fired after the school district uncovered that she has an OnlyFans account, right? So this is what the district's director of alumni and community relations explained. He said, "We only learned of Miss Ncheki Diallo's OnlyFans social media posts yesterday afternoon. Her posts are contrary to our district's use of social media by district employees." So that's that, right? But let's take it one step further. A couple of years ago, Ncheki Diallo's name was one Rachel Dolion's, and she is now teaching and doing OnlyFans. So here's the question. We know that she can't get a regular job, right? Because people find out who she is and immediately are turned off. She has changed her name, I believe, for the third time in life. What is society to do with individuals like this who have been, we found out she was doing the opposite of passing, that she was, I don't know, blackfishing? Is that what you would call what she was doing? We went through that whole situation. Boom, she's out, right? That was in 2015. She was the head of the NAACP in Spokane, Washington. So now she has reinvented herself. We know she was braiding hair and doing all of these other things and is on OnlyFans. What happens when someone is canceled or cast out of society, but they still need to make a living? I don't know how I feel. Like, I guess I don't care either way about her. I mean, it is what it is. But I do wonder, as we cancel, or is cancel culture really real, what is then the next thing that's expected? Of course, it's not your problem, but it's somebody's problem. And when you look at things like the growing homeless problem here in Southern California, or California period, other states as well. You just wonder, once you take that step and cancel them, then what are they supposed to do? How are they supposed to survive? Again, not our fault in theory or problem, but realistically, what happens next? Because all of these people that we just cast to the side for their ills, and once again, I have no dog in the fight with what happens with Rachel Dolian, C. Ncheki Diallo, and whatever else she will change her name. But I do wonder about that. Forensic Accountant says, I thought America loved a comeback story. They do. But sometimes they can be fickle on whose comeback they want to see. It just depends. Andy?
Well, it just sounds like she's fake all over. You know what I'm saying? If she had carried a little bit of authenticity, then maybe, you know what I'm saying, a comeback story would, you know what I'm saying, suffice. But, you know, you go from Rachel Dolezal to Nkechi Diallo to whatever else you want to be. I think the best move for her is just to tap into her entrepreneur bag, which I see she's trying to do with her OnlyFans. But, I mean, I don't know who's checking for her. But, you know what I'm saying, you're going to have to either, I don't know too much about a service, but you may have to create some sort of product that's of value that people would want to purchase. That's the only way that, you know, I can see her, you know, taking care of herself.
I mean, because the thing is, to your point, it's like, one, she seems to be particularly interested in really
everything black.
yeah, not just everything, but just very, you know, from the name she takes. I mean, she could have been Marie Diallo, or do you know what I mean?
That's even, that's even more disrespectful. You know what I mean? You go from Rachel Dolezal and then you want to get a real authentic name. Like, come on, like, come on.
You know, I mean, there's a lot there, and I'm not even going to step into that because that's a whole long, complicated, deep dive topic, and I just do not know. But I do wonder, with all of the people where we're like, nope, cut them off, chop them off, they don't deserve to live, what happens? Because to me, it creates a segment of people that are very frustrated and disgruntled and feel alone. So they will link up with each other and have bad thoughts with each other. And I don't know. I just feel like the state that some Americans seem to be in and the results that seem to follow because of their frustrations or isolations or feelings as such is a very scary place. And I think we have to find some real type of balance of, well, what are we going to do with these people that we cancel? Or what is the idea? Can people really change and be reformed? I believe they can, but I don't know. Andy?
I think in her situation, I know everything is a case-by-case situation, but with her, I think one of the lessons that you can learn from her is easier said than done.
Facts.
But you have to find a way to love the cards that were dealt to you, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously she's having identity issues. And I think it just obviously stems from her not loving herself or, you know, loving the cards that were dealt to her. And I understand some people, you know, they're born with a huge advantage. And, you know, some people are born with a, you know, they're all the way in the back. But even those individuals who probably weren't privileged with certain things, they still find a way to, you know, overcome. And, you know, the rose that grew from concrete, it's possible.
It is.
But
the phoenix that grew from the ashes,
absolutely.
All of that. Yeah.
I just think you just have to love yourself. I don't know what her upbringing was like. I don't know if, you know, her parents were in her life and maybe instilled love or whatnot. But, like, you know, if you're a parent and you got kids, like, instill love into your kids. You know what I'm saying? Because this world is grimy. You know, you just got to love yourself.
Man, on the day about love, that's why I want to stress it's not just about romantic love. It's about love of self, love of family, love of friends. There are all types of ways to receive and to also give love in life. So, you know, don't just lock it into the romantic thing. And I'm not saying that you got to think and consider about every person you canceled, but really consider where they go next, because it does affect you, even if you don't think that it does. When we come forward, we'll get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So the other day, former NFL player, host of, listen, I don't even know, is I Am Athlete still a thing for Brandon Marshall? I'm unclear, but, you know, sometimes podcasters, sometimes something. Brandon Marshall. He's a, what is he, a commenter, right?
Podcaster. Personality,
yeah.
But hold on, though, Jill.
Yeah.
Before you talk about football, we got to talk about what happened in Kansas City today.
I mentioned it.
Did you? Okay,
yes.
My bad. I'm sorry.
I mentioned it. I did mention it.
My bad. I was doing production work.
No. I know. I mentioned it because there was a young DJ that is the only death that they've announced. Her name was Lisa Lopez. She hosted Taste of Tejano on KKFI 90.1. She was at the rally. She was one of at least 23 people who were shot, but she actually succumbed to her injuries.
You know, it's stuff like that I say this all the time to some of my friends and family members, but they always, reel me back in. But it's situations like that makes me have no faith in humanity, because this is a place where it's a celebration, and somebody wants to come in and cause harm while people, it's supposed to be a happy day for folks, and you want to just destroy people's, happiness. let's say Kansas City wins again next season. Are they gonna have a parade?
And then how
You
does it
know?
make them feel coming off of that? All of those people, the players who probably, of course, it's not their fault. It has nothing to do with them, but it just, it's a very, very tough thing. They said that 9 of those wounded were children. I mean,
That's sick.
it's ridiculous.
And if I'm not mistaken, if I remember, I don't know if it was the mayor or whatever, but they pretty much was like no school, so people can come to the parade.
Yeah, they did say that. So that's why, you knew that it was going to be a family celebration, that it would be all ages and just good, innocent, celebrating, enjoying, something that we can come together as a community. And it's so sad that the idea that coming together as a community for a good thing, not, you know, anything negative, can end in such tragedy.
Yeah, man. I hate to bring up even old stuff, but we recently had MLK Day last month,
Hmm.
and out here in Lamert, not Lamert Park, but just out here in the city in Los Angeles or whatnot. And I wasn't there, but there was reports of somebody who got shot. You know, it's like, come on, people cannot gather together for fun nowadays, and I just think it's unfortunate.
It just it goes back to kind of what I was saying before with the Necheki Rachel story, and just in general, people are really feeling isolated and alone, and they're not, for whatever reason, taking the steps to get help, or those around them don't see it, don't know how to react to it. And you would think we're more connected with people than we've ever been all over the world, and yet a lot of people feel more isolated than ever before. It's harder for people to make real connections, face to face connections, authentic and organic connections, because we connect through our phone. And a lot of people are setting up, almost alternative realities. That's why things like what are the Apple Vision Pro, what are the glasses called? The alternate reality thing, the new thing that came out. That type of stuff is really scary to me, because there are people that will definitely, definitely get lost in that whole idea that I can create my own reality. I can live in there and set it up any way that I choose. I can be the hero in this scenario. I can look how I want, etc. Andy?
Nah, I'm just flabbergasted. But were you referring to the metaverse or?
Well, the metaverse is part. What are the new Apple glasses that just lot? I think they're called Apple
They're similar to what
Vision.
the
Yeah, the Apple
PS5.
Vision Pro. That's what they're called. And so they cost about what, $3,500. And it's spatial computing. You can perform tasks on it and with it, but you can also work on your golf swing, or you can be in Siberia. You can be anywhere. And eventually they're going to be alternate universes where you can connect with your friend that's someplace else, but it's going to be their avatar. And
The
just,
metaverse.
yeah, it's going to be scary to me, because there's so many people that are checked out now. There's so many people that find their whole personality type, and like the stan behavior. And there's a new documentary that's coming out about stans that we'll talk about in a bit. But that to me is like a heightened example of where some people are mentally, because they lock in to whatever artist or personality or whomever, and they lose all sense of reality and rationale behind them, and they make it their life's mission to defend them, to get information about them, to adopt their traits, to try and parrot that out. And it's just, we're in weird times. I just hope everyone's grasping
It ain't even
reality.
weird though. You know why?
Why?
Because a lot of the movies that we watched
They told
already
us.
done predicted this stuff. You know what I mean?
But I think it's one thing to see it and it's like, gee, that could happen. And it seems far away, or it seems like, well, not to me. But when you see people readily popping off and, turning over, you're kind of like, wait, I don't know. An interesting time. And it's only February, right? We are only 6 weeks into the new year. And a lot has happened. So, your guy, Kanye, Brandon Marshall, said that he was sitting in the suite at the Super Bowl. He was actually sitting in Roger Goodell's suite, who is the NFL commissioner, right? And he claimed that Taylor Swift, well, first, he mixed up Katy Perry and Taylor Swift, which was random as heck to me. But he said that when Kanye pulled up to the Super Bowl, he bought a ticket right in front of Taylor's booth so that he could be in position that anytime they showed Taylor during the game, which we knew was going to be a lot, they would see him, right? They said that he had a mask on with a logo on his logo on his mask. It wasn't his logo. I believe it might have been I'm not sure what brand it was, but anyway, this is what he said took place, right? So a rep for Kanye said it's not true at all. It's completely fabricated, right? Because Brandon said, of course, that Taylor made the call and made sure that it didn't happen. But they said it didn't happen. Kanye's people said it didn't happen. Well, let's take it a step further. We know, as I mentioned, Kanye has a single and an album on the charts. Well, the Swifties allegedly were gathering collectively to make sure that Kanye didn't reach number one. Well, Kanye posted to his Instagram and he said, "When I said that I'm the new Jesus, B, I wasn't even thinking about Taylor Swift." He then goes on to say, "That was a whole line before, but I appreciate the free promo. Lil Wayne actually mentions Travis Kelce on Vultures too. This album is actually super positive and fun. It's all about triumphant. Last year was incredibly challenging for me, my wife, my children, friends, and family. I've been banned from hotels, kicked out of companies, and even not allowed to eat in some restaurants. Everyone saw Vultures 1 get taken off platforms to limit our first week numbers. This reminds me of the mistreatment of my people because of the color of our skin. Remember, I was on Taylor's side when Scooter bought her masters behind her back. She and Beyonce are big inspirations to all musicians. We always say how both sell out tours and movies. Also, I'm sure I've been far more helpful to Taylor Swift's career than harmful. To all Taylor Swift fans, I'm not your enemy. I'm not your friend either," laughing aloud. He also goes on to say, "Also, I didn't get kicked out of the Super Bowl. We left our seats to go to YG's box and see different friends." So, fact, he did in fact buy tickets or happen to have tickets directly in front of Taylor's box. But he's saying that he voluntarily left them to go move around. And if you can move around at the Super Bowl, I would move around too. He says, "My wife had never been to a Super Bowl, so I wanted to walk around and have a nice time. We had such a fun day." That was the day, and I'm curious, I guess because it's Kanye, that's why they, allowed this, because she had on what looked like a piece of leather, maybe suede, thong-esque type thing with, as been customary as of lately, the backside out. How do you get to move around in the stadium like that? Shout out to Kendi in the chat, Vision Pro. That was the word that I was grasping from. Shout out to Thomas Outlaw, who said, "Have we as a global community reached the point where any public event is too dangerous to assemble in? Maybe at a point, concerts and celebrations may be online." We have had that where we've been seeing more and more access to events online and in other places. And I think that that is something that will continue. But the bottom line is the live experience is still something that draws people in. And there will always be some that are fearful or more cautious, but people are always going to want to experience the vibes in person and see things up close for themselves. I mean, we've seen the gradual escalation of security at venues. You're not even allowed to bring real purses or bags to venues at this point. It has to be clear plastic bags and things of that nature. So I don't think it is uncommon in that sense, but I do think that it is a scary time mentally because it seems like it's escalating and we're so numb to it because it's escalating and it happens so often. Kendi said the mask Kanye was wearing was by Alexander McQueen. It's called the Dante. Correct. Thank you for that because I knew it was a designer. I knew it wasn't his own design, but thank you for that. Shout out to Alexander McQueen, always coming with the classic, iconic looks. Is that a classic look? Because I feel as though there was a change as far as design in Alexander McQueen because of his passing. At any rate, so that was what Kanye had to say as far as Taylor and the Super Bowl. But then he went on to address Shaq. As we talked about last night, Shaq seemingly seemed to come out of nowhere and come at Kanye and tell him he needs to be quiet and that he's clout chasing. And it seems to have something to do with Shaq's business partner, Jamie Salter. And this is what Kanye said to address Shaq. Oh, and Shaq, I grew up looking up to you. I would love to hang with you and Jamie sometimes. Jamie Salter is like a father figure to me. The media may control the narrative, but the people have spoken. Excuse me. So, I'm unclear if Kanye is implying that the media got it twisted because Shaq was commenting on Kanye's own comments. It wasn't something that the media said or someone else put out there. It was something that Kanye put out there. So I'm confused as to Kanye's response to Shaq. Andy?
Well, I like his approach.
I do like his approach. It's friendly. It is not hostile. Yeah. It's let's break bread. Let's talk. Let's go over the misunderstanding.
And that's it.
I feel that it is a better approach for most of these things because a lot of times, a lot of this stuff is a misunderstanding, a communication issue because people aren't hearing the whole thing or it's telephone. They're hearing it from someone else. They're just seeing a clip of something. But at the same time, I do think, much like I was speaking about with Tyrese, Kanye knows what he's doing. He always comes back online with controversy or these wild swings when he has a project or a product that is getting ready to be introduced. That is fact. We can look at it and taste that. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's obvious.
Well, you know, the question that you had for me last hour about Tyrese and, you know what I'm saying, whether this might be, you know, not fabricated, but just to your point, this is what you get from Kanye.
I mean, I definitely think that we see that with a lot of artists and creatives and people in the public eye right now because it's so hard to court attention. But people are going to start getting burnt out. Listen, we'll talk more about that on the other side. More trending topics, more headlines. You're locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports on the other side.
Homie, I don't know, she's hot and cold. I won't stop, won't mess my groove up, cause I already know how this thing goes. You're gonna tell your friends that you're leaving me. They say that they don't see what you see in me. You wait a couple months, then you gon' see. You'll never find nobody better than me.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. At least one person is dead and several people are injured after a shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves said 10 to 15 more people were hurt in the incident. Graves added 2 people have been arrested. The mayor of Kansas City said the White House called to offer any help. It's not yet known what led to the shooting. No team personnel were injured. Baltimore City Mayor Brandon Scott is using federal COVID relief money to purchase a pair of hotels to house the homeless. Mayor Scott, who is black, announced the city will pay $15.2 million to buy the Sleep Inn and Suites and Holiday Inn Express along North Front and Gay Streets near the south end of the Jones Falls Expressway. The Baltimore Board of Estimates will consider the deal next week, which includes paying more than $3 million to the seller to manage the hotels. The money comes from the American Rescue Plan Act. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Let
Let Express Employment Professionals help you hire for contract or full-time jobs. Forget about posting jobs, sifting through resumes, and interviews with unqualified applicants. Go to expresspros.com to find the location near you. That's expresspros.com.
We all agree that America has a very serious problem.
Okay, KBLA delegation, we need your help as we launch our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We would deeply appreciate you going to our KBLA 1580 website and filling out a short climate justice survey, which will help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. So, hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short climate justice campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate. We care about the climate.
Spend an evening with MSNBC political analyst and host of The Readout, Joy Ann Reid at Pomona College on Thursday, February 15th at 7 p.m. Celebrate the release of her new book, Merle and Medgar Evers and the Love Story That Changed America. The event is free and open to the public, but tickets are required. You can even purchase a signed copy of the book. Visit www.pomona.edu/bridges to reserve tickets now.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
I started vaping my freshman year of high school, mostly because all my friends had vapes. I wanted to fit in with them and look cool and be a part of everything that they were doing. The hardest part about quitting for me was all my friends still hitting their vapes right next to me. It was really frustrating and confusing when I was trying to quit because in my head I knew I didn't want to do it anymore, but for some reason my brain still wanted it.
No quit story is the same. For free support, text Kick Nicotine to 66819 today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
were mine, I would place at your feet all that I own. You've been so good to me. If this world were mine, I'd give you the flowers, the birds and the bees, and your love beside me. That would be all I need if this world were mine. I'd give you anything. If this world were mine, I would make you a king with wealth untold. You could have anything if this world were mine. I'd give you each day so sunny and blue.
They don't make love songs like this anymore. I remember when Beyonce and was it Luther? I think Beyonce and Luther did remake this for her first album. I can't remember. But that's Luther Vandross, obviously my Taurus brother. Shout out to Luther and Cheryl Lynn. If This World Were Mine, 80s R&B, real singers. They had that. Ooh, I can't do it, but you know what I'm talking about. Real love, where you feel it all the way down in your gut, in your soul.
And me and my lady call it the richness.
Man.
And it, you know, it all stemmed from Anthony Hamilton and Music Soul Child's verses.
Oh, okay, that's where you guys.
We was like, cause look, I was Music Soul Child all day, and I was so disappointed in his performance on that verses.
Yeah, live performances haven't been his thing for a minute.
Yeah, and your boy Anthony Hamilton, I mean, the mic was probably like 5 feet away from him, and you could just hear that.
That voice was powerful.
And that's where, you know, the term richness, you know what I'm saying, was born between us. So it's like every time we hear an R&B artists or whatnot, you know, we always ask each other, do they have the richness? And it's crazy because I think that's why, you know, I was kind of disappointed with Usher's.
You wanted to hear the richness?
I wanted to hear his voice. But, you know, in retrospect, watching it again, reading everybody's comments and stuff like that, I go from a 6 to 10 now.
Oh.
From now to an 8 to 10. Because I can't deny the performance and everything that he represented and, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, put out for the world to see. It was beautiful, and I know how much it meant. You know, I just dock him just because, you know, I wanted to hear
a little bit of the voice.
A little bit of his voice, that's all.
One thing I did find interesting was that Little John helped put together the musical selection and things of that nature. So shout out to him. I like seeing Lil Jon expand in ways that we don't necessarily think about when it comes to him.
Well, if that's the case, if you guys care, if you could find some old episodes of The Apprentice with Lil Jon on it.
I know you did say that.
I'm just saying, he really shocked the hell out of me. Like, he's not this ratchet individual that, you know, he pushes himself to be. Trust me, he's a very highly intelligent man.
I love to see duality. We love that. So, okay, I was wrong. It's not If This World Were Mine that Luther and Beyonce duetted on as a remake. It was The Closer I Get to You, which was a Peabo Bryson and who made Peabo Bryson and Roberta Flack, maybe? I think maybe that's who the original was. But they remade it on her Dangerously in Love album. So shout out to that. Add all of this to your Valentine's Day, Times Day playlist. Also, since I mentioned Case and Happily Ever After, I should also mention that I'm unsure, once again, if he and Pretty V are actually in a relationship or if they were just promoting that they remade his version of Happily Ever After, the video. And if you recall, back in the day, Beyonce was the lead. She was probably all of 17 in the lead of that video. Well, Pretty V has recreated that look and they have recreated the video. So I don't know if they're actually boos or, once again, if it was just more courting attention, as we have been discussing in this hour. Speaking of, we talked about Kanye and his antics and how he's kind of reversed approach and how he dealt with the Taylor Swift allegedly got him kicked out or removed from the Super Bowl and Shaq coming for him. Well, Mace recently on he and Cameron's podcast, It Is What It Is, said that he believes that Kanye acts crazier when white people are around. Cam said that he would never go to any event that Kanye invites him to because Kanye turns into a totally different person when there are cameras there. He also said Kanye is the coolest ninja in the world, but when it's just them and no cameras. He said, I'm not with camera Kanye. Mace also said that Kanye is going through some things and that people need to really pray for him. Mace added that he's never been around Kanye with the cameras around, but, you know, Cam says, I'm not with that. Cam also added that he believes that in response to what Kanye said about, you know, being more of a help to Taylor Swift's career than not, he thinks that Taylor Swift has eclipsed Kanye in star power. Mace disagrees, but it is something to think about. I mean, I think it's different. Like, of course, we can compare anything, but I also feel like you have to consider where each of these artists, even if you throw Beyonce into the mix with the Taylor and Beyonce comparisons, they're at different phases of their career. So the type of attention, the way that the attention comes is going to shift and move as you move further and further into your career. I mean, Beyonce, listen, real rap. We're about 4 years away from Beyonce's 30th anniversary as an active member of the entertainment industry. We know she's been doing it since she was a child, but since, you know, we're at the 25th anniversary of the original Destiny's Child album. So we're not that far away. Think about it, right? Kanye, when did College Dropout come out? 2004. So we heard his production stuff a couple of years before that. Kanye's at 20 years in the business. Taylor's been around for what, 14, 15 at this point? These are not people in the early parts of their career. You think about even Michael Jackson, when he was about 14 years in, it started to shift. Michael Jackson was still the biggest artist in the world when Bad dropped. He had his whole CBS special, but people were also looking at other artists and other acts. You know, you think about 88. We're going to talk a little bit about 88 in the topic in the next hour, but a lot of things were happening that were changing culturally, not just for us as far as music culture with hip hop taking more and more prominence, but in the United States and that culture, and all of these things have a mixture in it. Now, do I think that when Kanye interrupted that early Grammy ceremony, that set some things in motion? Oh, yeah, I said Grammy. Sorry. Thank you. The MTV Awards? Yes, absolutely. You came on stage and basically took away the little white girl's moment. Right? Now, we know it was in defense of Beyonce, and whether or not we agreed or not at the time, that's what happened. So, of course, there was a lot of sympathy that came with that and a lot of attention and conversation. But years later, it's just a footnote. It's not the thing at this point. Andy?
I think that moment catapulted Taylor Swift's career.
I mean, it definitely did. It garnered her a lot of sympathy,
100%.
a lot of attention. It put her on the radar of a lot of people that probably weren't paying attention to her or had no opinion. But suddenly we're like, oh, that poor girl. That man just came on stage and took away her moment. I would just die. I would be devastated. And, you know, here we are. Forensic Accountant says Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack. Yeah, that's who originally made The Closer I Get to You. written by Intume and Reggie Lucas. Shout out to Forensic Accountant with the deep music history. Urban Spinster says, did we speak about Jason Kelsey saying that Travis had to move out of his Kansas City home after starting to date Taylor due to all the people coming around? A stalker was at the new house on day one. I 100% believe it because these new fans are real. And the thing is this. Back in the day, we didn't have this much real-time information to move like that. But let's be clear, there were people outside Michael Jackson's Havenhurst house 24/7, right? So now in 2024, where, listen, if you post a picture, like, you know, they're looking in the background to see what the skyline looks like, to pinpoint you. They're tracking her private airplane flights. You know, paparazzi is everywhere. And realistically, anybody with an iPhone could be paparazzi and potentially sell some footage if they happen to be at the right place at the right time. If stalker person maybe sat out in their car and saw Taylor rushing into Travis's new house, do you know how valuable? We know how valuable that footage will be. We know how much money will probably generate for that individual and how much media hits. And that's where we are right now. So I 110% believe that Travis had to move and probably is going to have to move again. He is probably going to have to make some adjustments in his life that even he, as a top NFL player, never would have imagined, because he's stepping into a total new stratosphere. And Taylor is a woman with younger fans who have nothing to do. And I shouldn't say nothing, but you know what I mean. They have a lot of free time that they can dedicate to tracking both of their moves. You know, oh my God, Taylor brushed her hair with her right hand instead of her left. What does that mean? Is she trying to hide a new engagement ring? You know, it's going to be all types of silly stuff. So that's that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what's going to be coming up for that. Listen, we know that it was just a week ago that the Club Shay Shay interview dropped with Monique. And Monique hit a lot of targets. And there's still a lot of conversation and fallout coming from that. Not sure what the number count is at the current time. Last I checked, which was, I think, Monday a couple of days ago, I think it was around 11 million views. So there's that. But Monique called out, when asked by Shannon Sharp, Shaq, about Shaq's comments that he can't trust a woman. Listen, he can't open up to a woman, I should say. When we come forward, we're going to get into Shaq's response to Monique and a little bit more about the intimacy between men and women on this day of love. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency on low Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, What does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, where climate is king. Climate is king. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So we were talking Shaq and Monique, and recently Shaq came out and he was expressing how he doesn't believe in opening up to women because he thinks that when things go wrong, they will use it against him. Well, Shannon Sharp asked Monique what her thoughts were about Shaq's comments when she was on Club Shay Shay last week. And she said that Shaq is a man with no woman, so why are you going to listen to him? Right? Well, Shaq has responded to this and also given a little bit more insight into why he said he does not share his problems with women.
No money, no problem.
What happened?
The clip that continues to spread around the world of when I asked, do you open up emotionally to women? And you said no, you shouldn't do that or else they'll throw it back in your face. Shannon Sharp brought it up to your good friend Monique, and Monique had this to say.
How do you take advice from a man who has no woman? And I love Shaq. But how do you take advice from my brother that has no one?
She said, I love my baby. I love my brother Shaq. But who do you open up to? So she did disagree with you.
The answer, my beautiful sister, and I love you too, Monique. First of all, let me address this. We can have respectful disagreements without getting personal. And I would never get personal with Miss Monique.
Yeah.
I'll never get personal with a woman on air, on social media. I love Monique. She knows I love her. But I'm going to address her questions. She used the word pillow talk. I don't pillow talk. She used the word, Shaq doesn't have a woman. Really, Monique? Monique, really? But who do I open up to? Nobody. And let me tell you why. Because my remedy to success is I have sayings. Like, for example, on the way over here, I saw 7 homeless people, bro. Who am I to complain? I flew here private. I got my whole crew with me. We got $1 million suite. So in other words, before I start getting all sad, I say, shut up, man up, and figure it out. So therefore, all the problems that I have to define that they're really problems. And they're not. There's people with far worse problems than I got. And I feel for those people. So I don't complain, because again, I was raised by a drill sergeant, and I'm glad he raised me the way he raised me. So to answer my beautiful sister Monique, when I have problems, I have to define if they're real problems, and most of the time they're not.
So here's one. Andy's not feeling it. One, I think Shaq knows. Shaq is sensitive. We know that. So, of course, because he got a little fever behind the comments, he's going to massage them and take a slightly different angle. What I do appreciate, and I think is a good reminder, especially currently where we are, is that you can disagree with someone, you can have a different opinion, but it doesn't have to delve into personal insults and attacks. It doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be, I disagree with you, so let me try and point out a flaw or take a dig at you personally. So that's the first thing, and I'm very respectful of that. But Shaq, be for real. We know that you are worried and concerned about opening up to women because at some point it's just what you said. Somebody has probably thrown something back in your face. However, and I know this isn't fair, but did you deserve for that thing to be thrown? Like, it depends on the scenario. There's all different things. But I'm sure that there is someone that you can open up and be close to. And while it is true, you were very blessed, as a lot of people are, to be able to move in the way that you do, make the choices that you make. Everybody has feelings. Everybody's down. Everybody goes through something where, no, in the grand scheme of things, it might not be that big of a deal, but you are allowed to experience emotion, and you are allowed to say, that hurt my feelings, that doesn't make me feel good, or whatever. Again, big sensitive Pisces, Shaq is. He did point out, like, don't have a woman, really, Monique? Yeah, we know you probably got a little meow, 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 little situation, little thing, but right now you don't seem to have a main, Shaq, and you know that's what she was referencing. But that doesn't mean that you are not unqualified to give your opinion and speak about love and relationships, because you've certainly had them. I think that, once again, you know, it's okay, Shaq. You're a sensitive giant, and we respect that. And you probably, at some point, will find the right person. I think you're just still, you know, going through the motions of realizing that you probably messed things up with your ex-wife. And that's what it is. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. We're going to talk about the actors from the year 88, why so many of them seem to be thriving in the move from music to movies, and more trending topics and headlines. We have some follow-up conversation to Larsa and Marcus Jordan, plus a couple of other stories that you're going to want to tap in for. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh yeah, the way that you do. The way that you love me. Oh, you know I need you, honey. You know I need you, baby. Keep on loving me, loving me the way you do, my love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network.